Welcome to the City Current Show, powered by Higginbotham Insurance and Financial Services.
This show focuses on sharing good news and powering the good in our community. Now here's your host, City Current CEO, Jeremy Park.
Welcome back to the City Current Show, powered by Higginbotham. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference and powering the good. And in this case, we're talking about the power of music. That's why we're honored to be with Gavin Wigginson. He is the Executive Director of PRIZM. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me today.
Absolutely. So we're talking about music, chamber music. We're talking about youth opportunities. There's a lot to unpack, but let's go back to 2005. Give us a little bit of history for PRIZM.
Thank you so much. So in 2005, we had a couple of co-founders who had a radical idea to form a chamber group that looked like Memphis. It reflected the demographics of Memphis. And in 2005, they started that. They played locally, regionally, and then some national concerts as well. And they gave birth to a summer camp working with youth. And so they kept that same idea of diversity, equity, inclusion, and transferred it to a youth camp, and it took off. And so thus a camp was born, and then a music festival, an international chamber music festival with those same ideals carried forward. And so we find ourselves 20 years later here doing the same work, and our co-founders have gone on to great things in other places, but we're still here continuing to do the meaningful work in Memphis.
Describe chamber music.
Sure. So chamber music is akin to what most people think of as orchestral music, but on a smaller scale. So chamber meaning smaller, or you can think of chamber being a room. It was ideal for places for, let's say, between 3 and 8 musicians to play for intimate audiences. So we're thinking about audiences that could, let's say, not exceed maybe 50 or 70 people. Now, of course, today it's very different. Not many people live in vast, palaces or mansions these days. However, chamber music is still very relatable. And so chamber music focuses on small group performances. And that is what we specialize here in PRIZM Ensemble.
So you talked about diversity and opportunity. Go ahead and start unpacking, because we'll talk about the programs and dive in deeper there. But I want you to touch on the power of music and what you're doing, because especially when you're talking about youth, it's confidence, it's skill development, obviously, and discipline. It's also to giving them identity. And I think there's a lot in terms of not just the physical aspect of performing, but also to just the mental side and the spiritual side, even. Like, there's a lot in terms of the power of music. So talk about it from that vantage point first, and then we'll dive in.
Sure. So from a diversity, equity, and inclusion lens, particularly here in Memphis, youth have really no difficulty identifying with who their favorite pop artist is, who their favorite rap artist is, who their favorite athlete is, because the exposure is there, and it's something that they can relate to so easily. When it comes to chamber music, it's a bit more challenging to do that, right? Yes, a young person on the street who's their favorite chamber music artist, I would not be surprised if most could not identify one. And so that's where PRIZM comes in, with the opportunity to engage youth in communities throughout Memphis. We are proud to say that we've engaged youth in every zip code to date since we've started. We've been in every zip code, and that really speaks to our intentionality of going out into the communities in Memphis and connecting with people who live in those communities and bringing them together to work together to build on those skills that you just spoke about, right? Those interpersonal skills that are so critical in any career that you choose. We're not necessarily trying to discover the next Yo-Yo Ma or the next, recording artist for a big record label necessarily. But what we are trying to do is bring people together, have them share their experiences, and hopefully forge relationships that transcend throughout their career and in their personal lives, once they make it out of high school. And so that's something we do that's unique here at PRIZM Ensemble. You will find us working in communities such as Orange Mound, North Memphis, Douglas, Binghamton, as well as we have students that come from Germantown, Lakeland, Collierville, from all over the metropolitan area are coming together, and they are working on these skills. And it's a very beautiful experience to see the youth actually connect and share these stories. And, all we have to do is just step back and facilitate. And it's really great.
Go ahead and walk us through what a calendar year looks like in terms of programming and opportunities.
Sure. So a calendar year for PRIZM, it varies from year to year, but mostly what you're going to see in the fall and the spring are some concert opportunities. We're going to bring in some really great musicians, and we're going to have them in places such as Shady Grove Presbyterian Church, or we'll have them at Crosstown, and they're going to be really great musicians, and youth and people throughout the city of Memphis will be able to come and engage with these artists. And you're going to see more of this coming in our next fiscal year as well. We also have several events that happen in the fall and the spring that help connect students to opportunities that are meaningful to them. One major thing, especially for our youth that are involved in band programs, orchestra programs, is that they all audition for, I wouldn't say all, well, many of them audition for All West. And so that's a regional honor ensemble opportunity, or All State. And that's a state level. And so that requires a very challenging audition process. And so one of the things that we do is we have an All West, we call it our All West or Regional Prep Workshop. And we bring youth together, and we bring professionals who've done it and, been doing it for 25, 30 plus years almost. We bring them together and we walk them through that audition process. We coach them on their music so that they're best prepared for that process. And it's not something that necessarily benefits the PRIZM organization necessarily, but it benefits the youth because they have to go out and they have to audition. And sometimes you have youth who are able to have private lessons outside of school, and you have some youth, they completely rely on what their band or orchestra teacher provides for them in school. And so this is a way to kind of level that playing field, bring everyone in, learn from the professionals. Here are your best practices for an audition. Get good sleep before you go and audition, right? Make sure you know your scales, practice your sight reading, right? How to deal with anxiety, audition anxiety, being nervous. We talk about all these things in hopes that we can best prepare all students to pass an audition. That typically happens in the fall, and the auditions typically happen in late fall and early spring. So that's something that's very meaningful to the youth, and they enjoy that. And we recently, as of last weekend, we recently wrapped up our first ever youth chamber music competition. And so this is another way that we're trying to get youth engaged around chamber music. They're forming their own groups. They're coming from different places, and they're coming together, and they're competing for cash prizes. And it's a really great way for us to kind of extend what we're doing in the summertime in our camps, and for them to kind of take ownership of their own chamber efforts outside of PRIZM and even outside of their own school settings. We want to make sure that they have opportunities to do that. And so this is one way that we're doing that. And we're really happy to say we had about 5 groups competing this year. It was a really great start. We're looking for more. And the idea is to bring them together, share their experiences, and hopefully win some cash too. And so many of them walked away with smiles on their faces with a nice check to go along with that. So that's what we do. And then in the summer, as I mentioned prior, we have our summer camp and our International Chamber Music Festival. Our summer camp is they run together, actually. So they start at the same time. So think about, by day we have a camp, by night we have a festival, okay? And so during the daytime, we're gonna have about 100 youth this year coming together from all over the metropolitan area, including Outside of the metropolitan area, we are going to have students coming from as far as from Oxford, Mississippi. We have something coming from Arkansas, a couple coming from Florida that are coming here intentionally to work with our amazing guest faculty. They come from all over the place. We've had guest faculty come from the Metropolitan Opera Orchestra. We've had guest faculty come from universities throughout the United States. And so it's a really great opportunity to work with people that typically don't live in Memphis and are out doing really great things. Also, we have guest faculty that are local. We have faculty from the University of Memphis, Rhodes College, and other areas as well. And so youth are coming to work exclusively with these artists. And then by night, we have groups coming in to perform. And so this year for our International Chamber Music Festival, we're opening up with the Grammy Award-winning Imani Winds. They won their first Grammy this past February, and they've been together about 20 years. They've been nominated several times, but this is their first win. And they are a diverse group of musicians that play some really, really amazing music. And the youth get an opportunity to not only work with these amazingly talented artists, but they also get a chance to hear them perform. We're going to present them live at Crosstown Theater on June 3rd. It's going to be a really amazing event. And so throughout the festival, we're going to have really great artists performing over a 2-week period. And it's open to the public. It is a ticketed event, but you can find all information on prismensemble.org. It's really great. And so that's kind of I tried to wrap up a year for you. So that's pretty much how our year flows for PRIZM.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a lot of opportunities. And I love the fact that, like you said, during the day, the students are learning and they're being immersed. And then all of a sudden, in the evening, they have a chance to see it all kind of play out. And so I think it's a very cool, almost like 24-hour cycle in terms of being, immersed, but also exposed to the power of music. And so carry that into how the community can help, because obviously purchasing tickets, going to the event, that's one piece of it. Obviously, on the youth side for your children, that's an easy opportunity for the camp. So talk about the ways the community can support your efforts.
Absolutely. And you hit the main point, right? Buying tickets to the festival is a really great way to do that because it costs money to do this. I wish we could just run on passion alone. I think we're sustainable for another century at least. We're just talking about passion, right? The passion to connect with youth and to provide opportunities. I think that's something we will continue to do, but it does take financial resources to do this as well. So buying tickets to the events. We have a season pass for our International Chamber Music Festival that you can purchase, or you can purchase tickets individually, what have you. But that's a really great way to do it. We also have some volunteer opportunities. If you have a few hours a week or a month that you want to step in and help out PRIZM in any way, we can do that as well. And we also have other events that people can participate in as well. You just have to go to the website. There's a volunteer link to sign up. There are many great ways to do it. You could be a major part of what we do is mentorship. And you don't necessarily have to be a musician to mentor, right? And we have plenty of youth that could definitely benefit from, wise experience from adults who have time to do that. So many opportunities to do so. Even if you're just wanting to pass out tickets or take tickets or pass out programs, there are many ways to engage with PRIZM. And you just go to our website and we can connect with you there.
Is there any need for donated instruments, things like that for the youth?
Absolutely. We take that on a rolling basis. Actually, we get calls sporadically throughout the year. If you want to donate an instrument or have instruments to be donated, we can do that as well. And that's a really important point for us. I'm so glad you brought that up, because in our PRIZM in the Schools programs, what we do in PRIZM in the Schools is that we take instruments with us. We recognize that not every person comes out of their home with a clarinet, a violin, or a trumpet necessarily on their person, right? I think that's just something we can all agree on. Not everyone has that, and we're not necessarily wanting to discourage youth from participating with us simply because they don't have that or don't know where to go get it, right? And so that's something that we do, and we rely on those donations of instruments and financial resources to be able to do that. And so that's really important for us.
You've mentioned it throughout, but go ahead and wrap up with it. So website, social media, where do we go to learn more and get involved with PRIZM?
Absolutely. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, prismensemble.org. All our information is there. Many ways to engage with us, whether it be our events, volunteer opportunities. If you just want to watch some cool videos, if you want to donate, there are many ways to do so through any of those mediums. You can check us out on our website or in our social media. We'll be happy to engage with you.
Well, Gavin, thank you for all you and your amazing team do to power the good. Thank you for coming on the show.
You're more than welcome. Thank you so much.
Higginbotham Insurance and Financial Services is proud to power the City Current Show. We're a people-first company that protects what matters most, the families, businesses, and trailblazers that keep our community going. As one of the nation's top independent insurance firms, Higginbotham is a single-source solution for business insurance, employee benefits, HR services, and personal insurance that's customized for you. We're here to serve you, the people you care about, and your community. Call 866-377-1959 or visit higginbotham.com.